can't say anything about the Baal Tanya's Torah. The Baal Tanya was the Gadol Hador. So Maisa goes that when he came to the city of Shklov, all the Rabbanim, all the Rosh Hashivas came to greet him. And they arranged a meeting between all the Rosh Hashivas and the Rabbanim with the Baal Tanya. The Baal Tanya told them before the meeting, he said, come with all of your kashas. All of your kashas, whether it be kashas on the Baal Shem Tov, kashas on a Gemara, kashas on a Pasuk, any kasha you have in the universe, just come with your list and we'll deal with them. So all the Rosh Hashivas, okay, it's Kavod, the Baal Tanya. So they come, they sit with the Baal Tanya, and they have this whole list of kashas, you know. And so the Rosh Hashiva gets up, kasha number 1. The Baal Tanya says, hold on. I know that you're not Hasidim, that I am, said the Baal Tanya, and my minhag that I received from my Rebbes is that before you sit to learn, before you learn anything, you sing a niggun. Sing a niggun. So the Rosh Hashivas and the Snagdim, they're not so comfortable with that. But they say, listen, you know, that's what the Baal Tanya wants, we'll sing a niggun. So which niggun do you want to sing? The Baal Tanya said, I have a niggun, it's called the Dalet Bavos. Dalet Bavos. The Lashon Nigurim that the Baal Tanya created. Lubavitch, it's considered to be so holy, it's only sang on special occasions, like by a wedding, on Yutes Kislev, on a Yontif. So Baal Tanya said, if you don't know the niggun, I'll sing it. And if you catch along, you'll catch along. So Baal Tanya began to sing the Dalet Bavos. And you know, in the beginning, so the Rosh Hashivas said, okay, it's a nice niggun, it's very spiritual niggun. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. All the Rosh Hashivas, all everyone, they were swept away in this niggun. And after it was like a half hour of singing this niggun over and over and over again. So Tanya ended the niggun, everyone opened their eyes and he said, Nu, Chavra, what are the kashas? So Rosh Hashiva said, no more kashas. I'm in a very difficult situation right now because the truth is, after you nigurim like that, and after a rika like that, there shouldn't be any kashas. But it's chaval for the driver. He sent me up, you know, all the way from 5 towns to up here. So I'm not going to do anything. So I have to say something. But the truth is, with all the dibur, with all the words that I could possibly say, Shabbos is a niggun. Shabbos is a niggun. Either you get it or you don't. Either you heard that niggun or you didn't hear it yet. Shabbos is a niggun. And when the niggun of Shabbos plays, and a person hears that niggun, maybe for the first time, all the kashas go away. And all the words are just unnecessary. But I'm not the Baal Tanya. We're not going to sing the Dalet Bavos right now. So let's say a few words. All right. I know people here are probably on different levels, different stages in life, different tekufas. So I'm going to say something that maybe is over everyone's head. We'll just do it like that. You know what I'm saying? Keep it easy. I'll tell you the truth. Maybe this might sound a little bit funny, but I personally believe Yiddishkeit is complicated. Life is complicated. Being a Yid is complicated. And I personally believe, this is my personal experience with myself and with others, that if a person is presented a simplistic, childish Yiddishkeit, if you give an adult, someone that's gone through an yanim, someone that's complex, you give them a simple Yiddishkeit, it's not a shidduch. It doesn't speak to the person. A complex Yiddishkeit fits with a complex person. So I think we're complex people. I think Bechlal, the generation now, is complex, complicated. A person could be 19 years old, but on some level they're maybe more mature than our ancestors were. So we have to answer the following question: what is Shabbos? What is Shabbos? But appreciate the way I'm asking you. I'm not asking you when is Shabbos. I'm not asking you what to do on Shabbos or what not to do on Shabbos. I'm asking you what is Shabbos. You ask me, that's a strange question. What is Shabbos? I mean, Shabbos, Saturday. It's the 7th day of the week, just with different rules. I mean, what is Shabbos? It's incorrect. It's incorrect. Shabbos is not the 7th day of the week with certain restrictions, with certain obligations. You dress differently, you eat different types of foods. That's what you do on Shabbos. But what is Shabbos? What is Shabbos? You know, there's a Maisa, I mentioned the Baal Tanya, so the Baal Tanya's grandson, the Tzemach Tzedek, so one of his great chassidim was Rabbi Zakutinsky. Rabbi Zakutinsky. The famous Maisa, Rabbi Zakutinsky was sent by the Tzemach Tzedek in Russia to go to Poland to visit Rabbi Yisrael from Rizhin, the Rizhin. Also a very big tzaddik. There was something going on with the politics, with the government, and so on. They had to communication had to be made between Tzedek in Russia and Rabbi Sofer from Rishon in Poland. And so Rabbi Isaac Humler spent Shabbos by the Rishner, and he said that all the rest of his life he just said over stories from that Shabbos. So Mike says that he went, he said this over, that Erev Shabbos when he came to the Rishner, so, he knocked on the office door, it was like mamash a few minutes before Shabbos, and the Rishner opens the door, he comes in, and the Rishner is sitting there, smoking a pipe. Doesn't say anything, the whole room is full of smoke, just smoking the pipe silently. Isaac Humler standing there. And then, at a certain moment, the Rishner gets up, goes to the window, looks out the window, still smoking his pipe. Then about a minute or two later, the Rishner says, Shoin, puts out his pipe, it was Shabbos. Staring out the window. He turns to Rabbi Isaac Humler and he says, No, Russian Shagoyin, Russian genius, come to the window. So he comes to the window, and the Rishner asks Rabbi Isaac Humler, he says, No, Russian Shagoyin, what do you see? So Rabbi Isaac Humler says, I look outside, I see trees. What else do you see? Grass, I don't know. Clouds. So the Rishner said, you know what I see? I see the clouds of the 6 days of the week going away, and the clouds of Shabbos coming. I see the trees of the 6 days of the week going away, and the trees of Shabbos coming. Shabbos is not the seventh day with different rules. Shabbos is a different world altogether. On the seventh day of the week, we enter into that universe that's called Shabbos. So what is Shabbos? What is different about the world in the seventh day as opposed to the 6 days? Just like this. It says in Pasuk, we just sang it a few minutes ago. Shomrei is also Shabbos, right? It says in Pasuk, Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael. Shabbos is something special between Hashem and the Jewish people. It's a sign for all of the world that Hashem created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh. So why do we keep Shabbos? Because Hashem rested on the seventh day, right? You see something. That doesn't make much sense. I mean, that's a universal thing. Why can't Goyim keep Shabbos? Why is Shabbos only Jewish? You want to tell me Tefillin is only Jewish? Fine. You want to tell me eating kosher is only Jewish? It's fine. Shabbos? Shabbos is about resting on the seventh because that's what God did when He created the world that we all share, all of humanity. That's why Shabbos is special. It says Shabbos is an ice beini uvim b'nei Yisrael, something unique to the Jewish people. So what is Shabbos? So let me explain. How 2 minutes? Then I want to go from concept, just break it down with you. I'll go from a concept and thought to what that, to translate that in terms of emotion, what it feels like, and then something practical that we can do to connect to it, hopefully. And I need your help, by the way. I need your help. If there's any shilas, if I'm not being clear, or if you come up with another practical aid so that I'm not thinking of, share it. Looks like this. There's one way to think of reality that's called the 6 days of the week. What does it mean, the world in the 6 days of the week? So it's very simple. I am standing in front of a shtender, yeah? I am wearing a jacket. You're sitting on chairs. We are breathing oxygen. It is the daytime right now. I look outside, I see some cars, and I see a tree, and some grass, a hill, an electric pole. And we believe, as God-fearing Jews, we believe that all of this stuff that we're experiencing is absolutely real. I can't put my finger through the shtender. There's a shtender over here. I can't float. These are real. It's real. It's just being given energy from God. God is deciding to create the shtender. Right? That's what it is. From the 6 days of the week perspective, what were to happen if Hashem decided, you know what, I'm not so interested in this shtender being here right now. What would happen to the shtender? Start falling apart, right? All the screws would just all of a sudden pop out, the shtender would collapse. What would happen if Hashem decided, you know what, I don't like that chair. I don't want to continue giving life to that chair. What would happen? Screws would come out, the chair would collapse, you wouldn't be able to sit on it. That's the 6 days of the week. In the 6 days of the week, there's a world. The 6 days of the week, there's a world, and there's a God on top of the world that's sort of giving batteries to the world. So we go around life. We are us. We have our own decisions. We have free will. You go left, you go right. It's up to you. You're breathing oxygen right now. You're breathing in air. So on and so forth. You're thinking what you're thinking. You're doing what you're doing. God is just there giving you energy. And you, as a human being, receiving that energy, your responsibility is to take that energy and to do something positive with it. Yeah, that's simple. You You wake up in the morning, Maida'ani, Hashem, thank you so much for giving me my soul back to me. And now, what do I do with my soul? That's up to me. That's the 6 days of the week. On the 7th day of the week, what comes, Shabbos is something altogether different. Shabbos, the entire construct, the entire way that we have to think of reality completely changes. On Shabbos, instead of the following idea, when the Rabbi Shalom created the world, let me try to explain it this way. When Hashem created the world, that's what happened. Like, he went to Home Depot to get wood, supplies to make a shtander. Where'd he go to get the supplies? Well, that's a stupid question. There was no Home Depot there, right? So he didn't go anywhere. So where'd he go? Where did the material come from? The answer is
something out of nothing.
Something out of nothing, right? When we say that, it's very good. That's an old term, yesh me'ayin. But the truth is, the nothing that all some things come from, it's not just nothing. It's within God Himself. God didn't go to Home Depot to get wood to make a shtander. The shtander comes from God Himself. I said before, what happens when God decides, you know what, I'm not interested in giving my energy to keep the shtander going. So I said, what happens? Screws fall out, it begins rickety, it falls apart. That's 6 days of the week. The Shabbos way of thinking is the following. You know what happens when God decides, I'm not interested in energizing the shtander? You know what happens? There is no shtander. It's not that the shtander falls apart. There is no shtander. Now, what does that tell you about what the shtander is before it disappears? Let's understand. If God went to Home Depot and bought wood and decided to keep it together, He's the glue that keeps it together, fine, so then God removes Himself, the wood falls apart. But there was never wood. God didn't go to Home Depot. The shtander was created from God Himself, through God Himself. His divine word, His divine will manifested itself in the shtander. When God decides, I'm not interested in shtander anymore, the shtander doesn't fall apart. There is no shtander. When God said, Nasa Adam, when Hashem looked at each and every one of you in His mind's eye and said, I want there to be a Reuven, I want there to be a Shimon, I want there to be a Levi. What's the pshat? Stam, you're a Reuven, you're a Shimon, a Levi, and God's now interested in you. That's the 6 days of the week. The 6 days of the week means that there's a you, you're breathing oxygen, you exist, and God is there helping you out. God is there as the glue. He's the battery in your back. And you have the responsibility of making the right decisions. That's 6 days of the week. Shabbos means, where do you come from? What were to happen if God, chas v'shalom, stopped thinking about you? When God stops thinking about a person, He doesn't have a bad day. What happens when God stops thinking about you is that you no longer exist. So what does that tell you about your existence right now? It tells you that who you are, who we are, what the world is not something else that God is giving life to. What the world is a vehicle to allow God into reality. The world is an expression of God Himself. The Baal Shem Tov, I mentioned before, the Baal Shem Tov said that all of Torah, all of life, the central theme of all of Yiddishkeit is 3 words. That is, Ein Oid Milvada, there is nothing but God. What does that mean? There's no other God but God? We believe in one God as opposed to 16. What does it mean, Ein Milvada? It means that there's not a world that God is giving life to. There's not a world that God is investing energy in. The world comes from God. Who you are is an expression of Elikos. Each and every one of us, who we are, is an expression of the Rabbi Shalom. When we see something, that's God seeing it through our eyes. You understand what I'm saying? When you experience something, that's God experiencing it through you. That's a Shabbos way of thinking. Shabbos is not a day of the week. Shabbos is a reconfiguration of reality itself. This is what reality was. Let me explain a little bit more. This is how reality was experienced before Adam ate from that tree of knowledge of good and evil. Right? We all know the story of Adam and Eve. The Nachash convinces them to eat from the tree of knowledge. What happened before he ate, and what happened after? What, eating that apple, eating that grape, whatever it was, what happened? You know what happened? Before Adam and Chava ate from the tree, how did they see themselves? How did they see reality? All of reality was Shabbos-tic. All of it was Shabbos-tic. They didn't see themselves as a person that it depends on God. They didn't see the world around them as a world that depends on God. If God wasn't here, then the world would be a bad day. That's not how they saw it. Before they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, then what? All there is was the Rabbanu Shalom. When they saw something beautiful, when they saw sunrise, that was God expressing Himself. When they smelled a rose, that fragrance was God expressing Himself. When it was raining, it was God. When it was sunshine, it was God. When the clouds were covering the sun, it was God. There's a famous song from the Gedushas Levi from the Red It's called Dudela. I can't sing it. It's in Yiddish also, but the song Dudela is do means you, and the whole song is the ikar sentences of the song is, God, I want to sing you a song. What could I possibly say? So the Red says the song is, God, east you, west you, north you, south you, good you, bad you, up you, down you, chesed you, din you, everything you. That's what happened before Adam and Chava. That's how they saw reality. When they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, what does it mean, knowledge of good and evil? It means, all of a sudden there's a me. All of a sudden there's a me, and there's a shtender. And there's oxygen that you're breathing. And there's clouds that exist on their own. Yeah, of course, there's a God. We need God to help us out. But it's up to me. I can make my own decisions. I am who I am. That terrible descent from that world of Shabbos into the world of 6 days a week, that's what happened. Every single week on the seventh day, there's a time warp, there's a time machine, there's a wormhole that takes place. It's not just Saturday with restrictions or different rules. On the seventh day of every week, we're able to access what the world was before Adam and Chava ate from that tree. We're able to experience what the world is going to be with the coming of Mashiach. This is why Shabbos is a remembrance of what was by creation, and it's a remembrance of what's going to be with Mashiach. Mizmar Shir L'Yom HaShabbos. Because what is Shabbos? Shabbos is the world being reconfigured as it was before the sin and as it will be after all sins end. We taste that every seventh day. That's what Shabbos is. Fine, that's the idea. Now let's translate that. So what does that feel like? That's the next question. What does it feel like to have a Shabbos like that? What does it feel like when you're in that Shabbos mode? And by the way, based on what I'm telling you right now, that Shabbos is not the seventh day of the week. The seventh day of the week, there's a shtickle time machine that we access this reconfigured way of living. You could have Shabbos on a Monday. When we were singing those nigunim, it's not the pshat that we're singing Shabbos nigunim because we're a bunch of mishagoyim. That's not what's going on. When you're singing nigunim of Shabbos on a Monday afternoon and a Monday morning, that's Shabbos. You're uncovering Shabbos at that moment. So what does it feel like? What does it feel like? You know what it feels like? You know what it does to a person when they have this sense of who they really are, of what life really is? It gives you unbelievable confidence. Unbelievable confidence. You see, people think the following thing. People think that it's like this. Let me pull back for a second. You know, there was a great tzaddik Ishbitzer. Mordechai Yosef Ishbitzer. So he said the following thing. He said, you want to know what all of Yiddishkeit's about? Everything. It's in the following mice, in the following mashal, the following parable. This is everything. It's all of Torah. The rest is commentary. He said there was once a person who had this huge empire, mamish, a CEO of this, this unbelievably huge, like Google-sized empire. And he was getting old, and he had an only son. And he turned to his son and he said, listen, I built this empire from scratch. It's something that you couldn't do, honestly. I know you, you're a great guy, but I know what I can do, I know who you are. I built this empire. And you're my only son. I love you with every fiber of my being. The company is coming, it's yours. It's yours, you're my only son. But here's the problem. If I just give over the reins to you right now, give you the keys to the company, then you know what's going to happen. All my thousands of employees are going to have tainas. They're going to be upset at me. What are you giving the keys to the company to this little schnook that doesn't have any background? Oh, because he's your son. And by the way, said the father, not only the other employees, you yourself are not going to really feel connected to the company. You can always feel a little bit embarrassment, like I only have this because I'm my father's son. So said the father to the son, so do me a personal favor. Go to the mailroom, learn about the business, work your way up the ladder, but I'm telling you, it's coming to you. It's coming to you. I just want you to work to feel connected to that which is coming to you. Said the Ishbitzer, you know what Yiddishkeit is? There's a way of thinking of Yiddishkeit which is 6 days of the week, which is what? that we are human beings down here on planet Earth, and we are trying to gain, to earn our attachment to the Rebbeinu Shalom. We're trying to earn, through every mitzvah that we do, we are trying to earn our keep in Olam Haba. We're trying to earn the next world. We are trying to create a relationship and attachment to the Infinite One. That's the 6 days of the week where there's a you down here, and there's a God up there, and you're trying to make that connection. Let's have the Yishbitzer, but on Shabbos, what does Shabbos tell you? Shabbos tells you that what? It's coming to you already. Every Jew is already attached to God. You know who you are. When you open your eyes in the morning, your eyes are the eyes of the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Rebbeinu Shalom is seeing life through you. When you touch something, it's the Rebbeinu Shalom touching something through you. It's not you and you're trying to make an attachment to something bigger. All there is that which is bigger. So what are we doing? Well, you have to put on tzitzis and tefillin and Shabbos and kashrus and learning. All these things that we do are just to allow us the ability to appreciate what we already have, to give us access to it. Just like that kid. If he was just given the company without working, without doing anything, of course he has the company, but it's not really his. He doesn't own it. The purpose of Yiddishkeit is not to acquire a relationship with the Rabbi Shalom. It's not to build that company, and it's not to own that, not to acquire that company. It's about opening yourself up to appreciate the unbelievably huge business which was already yours from the beginning. So, what Yiddishkeit, what Shabbos does to a Yid inside the soul is give you an unbelievable confidence. That it's not me, at no point in time was it ever me. It's all the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's all something much bigger than me, and I'm a part of this. And my responsibilities in life is not, there's no fear of like, oh my God, what if I mess up and everything falls apart? There's no possibility like that. In the 6 days of the week, yeah, there's a real possibility that you'll mess up. Because who are you? You're just a human being breathing oxygen. All you are is just a human being standing in front of a stender. Helpless, hopeless. So if you don't make the right decisions, you could mess up everything. That's the 6 days of the week. But Shabbos says that what do we mean? You think you're a human being. Shabbos says you think that's a stender in front of you, you think it's oxygen that you're breathing. It's all the Rebbeinu Shalom coming into the world through you. So there's no real possibility of you screwing up your life to the point of where it's helpless and absolutely hopeless. It's not possible. Just like the Rebbeinu Shalom can't fail, neither can you. So what are we doing? So we're like that kid. We're like that kid that's working his way up from the mailroom to become the CEO. Not to become the CEO. To appreciate how he always was the CEO. That's what Yiddishkeit is. It's a Shabbos-dik Yiddishkeit. This is why Shabbos is a day of rest. What's the menuch of Shabbos? Time that you don't drive? You just take a long nap? Like what's the menuch? What's the restfulness of Shabbos? The rest of Shabbos is that the pressure is off. During the 6 days of the week, there's unbelievable pressure to truly believe in free will, right? That if you make the right move, eternity. And the wrong move, damned to hell forever. That's a lot of weight on your shoulders. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight. The nations of the world, that's what they believe in. That's the extent that they could believe in. That there's a world, and there's a God watching you, and that God, I don't know, it's some really like a Santa Claus, really, right? You just want to be on the good list, not the bad list. So instead of reindeers, it's like Malachim carrying his chariot. It's all Santa, that's what it is. It's the 6 days of the week. But on Shabbos, the lachatz comes off. You understand? The pressure comes off. There's no real concern of failing to the point of where the business is not coming to you. You're already the CEO. It's not an option. The question is whether you're going to appreciate it or not. That's the only option. But absolute failure is not an option. Just like God won't fail, neither can you. Shabbos gives a person confidence. This is why the Gemara says, the Chazal tell us, Kol HaShomer Shabbos. Any Jew that keeps Shabbos, all of his averos are forgiven. It's an unbelievable trick. I don't know what happened to tshuva, shanu, baganu. What happened to real remorse and real decision? I'm never going to do it again. There's two options: either real gut-wrenching tshuva, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, or just keep Shabbos and you're fine. What does that mean? Well, the answer is, if you're living in the 6 days of the week and you messed up, then the only way to fix it was gut-wrenching tshuva. Gut-wrenching tshuva, because that mistake is on you. It was a real mistake, and you messed it up. So now I have to fix it, and it's hard to fix it. But a shomer Shabbos, but a person that keeps Shabbos, means to keep Shabbos, not just time that you don't drive. To keep Shabbos to live your life, to think of yourself in the Shabbostic way, that who am I? When I open my eyes, what does it mean, I open my eyes? Who am I that I'm seeing something right now? What happens when one Jew says, has an interaction with another Jew? When you see your friend and you have a conversation, it can be about nothing. That's not two people talking to each other about nothing. Those are two pieces of God communicating with each other. That's what it is. If you're Shomer Shabbos, you keep Shabbos, you live Shabbos like that, of course your Averos are forgiven, because the whole thing from the beginning. You have to say that there was never such a thing as an Averos. What does it mean? The whole thing was the Rabbi Shalom. Yes, I messed up in terms of not being able to appreciate who I was. That's a much easier mistake to fix than I destroy the business. If a guy has a company and the guy leaves a match and the whole building burns up, it's not easy to build that back together. That's the 6 days of the week. That's not Vera from the 6 days of the week. But a Shabbos to take away, the business is fine. It's functioning. You can't mess that up. What you did is that you made yourself not appreciate the business that's happening. Okay, so you fixed that. It's no big deal. Shabbos is a day of confidence. Shabbos gives a Jew confidence. Gives you the confidence to know that no matter what, the Rabbi Shalom his plan isn't going to fail, which means I'm not going to fail. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. That's what Shabbos is. Therefore, everything we do on Shabbos is oriented in this way, Even the davening of Shabbos, in the brachas by Shema, before you say Shema on Shabbos morning, so we play with the text. From the 6 days of the week to Shabbos, things change. And the theme of the Shabbos is what? Is Hakol. Hakol Yeduch. Everything praises you. Everything sings songs to Hashem. Everything. Yeah? What does that mean? Like we say in L'chadaydi, right? And the Hari Simcha Chav. Rivers are clapping their hands in praise of God. Yeah? That's what's going on? When you hear a river, it's making noise. It's clapping. During the 6 days of the week, of course it's not clapping. It's a river. It's rivers making noise. Rivers make noise. You want to imagine what it sounds like, and you imagine it as... Shabbos says, no, it's clapping. Shabbos says when a river makes noise, what are you hearing? What you're hearing is the river sing song to God, because what is the river to begin with? Nothing but an expression of the Rabbi Shalom. That's what Shabbos says. Shabbos gives you confidence. Shabbos says that everything, there's no possibility of failure. Who you are is godly. Who you are is godly. So, maybe let's think together, something practical, something that we can do to maybe connect to this idea, to remind ourselves of this truth. So one thing I'll mention like this. Again, I don't know you guys personally. I mean, some of you I do a little bit, but there's a halacha when it comes to Shabbos of wearing big day Shabbos, wearing Shabbos clothing, right? Wearing something special for Shabbos. Wearing something special for Shabbos. That's a weird thing. Clothing. Where did clothing come from? What's the first time there was ever such thing as clothing, right? Before Adam sinned, I should say, they weren't wearing clothing. They were naked and they were fine with it. After Adam sins, all of a sudden they realize they're naked and they're embarrassed, and so they come up with clothing. So clothing represents what? What does clothing symbolize? Clothing symbolizes something that you're embarrassed about, something that you're upset about. It's all your failures. So you would think so, but it's an amazing thing. Come Shabbos says, so during the 6 days of the week, when you wear clothing, it's like I'm covering myself, I'm hiding something. There's something I'm really ashamed of. There's a failure, there's something about me that I'm terribly, terribly embarrassed of. And how do I psychologically and spiritually cover myself to protect myself? So I wear clothing. When you wear clothing during 6 days of the week, as we all should, obviously, right? You're hiding something, which is good, because there's a lot to hide. But on Shabbos, it's interesting. Shabbos, clothing transformed from being something that you're hiding, that you're using to hide. Shabbos clothing is what? L'kavod u'sifares. It's a way of expressing my greatness and my honor. Shabbos clothing are supposed to be beautiful and special, because what Shabbos is saying is the following thing: that what you were ashamed of during the 6 days of the week, which is basically you, the person that you thought was a failure, the person that you thought was someone that at best just maybe not messed up totally. During the 6 days of the week, that person that you're trying to cover over, that you're trying to just stay under the blanket and halavai, if only no one should see me. That person on Shabbos is exuding confidence, is proud of himself. Those same qualities, which until now, during the 6 days of the week, I saw as things that were taking me down, Shabbos comes and says, there's no such thing. No such thing. So you have a guy that's, he has a personality, let's say he has a temper. Let's give an example, he has a temper. So how does he view himself? So during the 6 days of the week, how does he view himself? I got this problem. It's a problem. It's called a temper. It's called a temper. And there's nothing I can do about it. All it is just a miserable piece of myself. I'm ashamed of it. I'm embarrassed of it. And I cover myself up. And I wish I didn't have it. That's all coming from the 6 days of the week, which means that you're just a putrid piece of flesh human being that's mostly wasteless. Mostly wasted space. And just don't mess things up. Don't burn down the building. That's what the 6 days of the week is. So the 6 days of the week bring a sense of busha, a sense of embarrassment, a sense of just trying to cover yourself. But come Shabbos, you take a shower before Shabbos, maybe you go to the mikveh, you get ready for Shabbos, you have some kugel, you hear a nice niggin. What changes on Shabbos? Then when you put on some clothing that's Shabbos-tic, what happens is that you're telling yourself, that person that until now I thought was low and helpless and chaotic and without any hope, without any purpose, and at best I just want to cover myself over, on Shabbos, that person is elevated, is transformed to be godly himself. And that same quality of, let's say, anger, that until now I saw as something holding me back from greatness, now I realize it is part of my greatness. Instead of getting angry at someone, maybe I could use that energy and passion and fire to do something good in the world. But it's something to be proud of. Shabbos Kodem means that you're proud of yourself. You're exuding confidence. Therefore, practically, when a person, listen, it depends on different people. Some people wear Streimal Begish on Shabbos. Some people wear a nice suit. Some people wear just maybe a nicer version of the weekday clothing. But every single one of us should have something. It could be a pair of socks. It could be underwear or t-shirt. Something that's special for Shabbos. And don't just stop put it on. When you're putting on your Shabbos socks, then think for a second, what am I doing when I'm putting on my socks? I'm telling myself that who I am is a piece of the divine presence. Who I am is a piece of God. Who I am is something that's elevated and supreme and godly and has purpose. And I am the CEO of the company. I'm not just this kid that's in the mailroom. I am the future CEO. I am the CEO. I just have to build myself with confidence to embrace that. That's what you're doing when you put on Shabbos clothing. Every single thing of Shabbos, that's what you're doing. When you eat Shabbos food, when you go to sleep, when you wake up, when you interact on Shabbos, when you say good Shabbos. That's what you're saying. When you say to another Yid, when you say good Shabbos to a person, that's not just like good morning, good afternoon. You're giving the person a blessing. Good Shabbos. And what are you saying to the other Yid? You're saying, Reuven, Shimon, my friend, you should appreciate who you are, know who you are. You should have a good Shabbos. Realign yourself. Realize who you are. You're the CEO himself. When you have a headache, God has a headache. When you stub your toe, God stubbed his toe to the office, so to speak. You understand something physical? I think that's what Shabbos is. Let me tell you a story. One of the students of the Baal Shem, one of the early students, was somebody by the name of Rabbi Zlotchev. So this Rabbi Zlotchev, he was one of the early students of the Baal Shem. He had a son, Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef from Zlotchev. Now this Rabbi Yosef from Zlotchev was known amongst all the students of the Baal Shem to be one of the biggest daveners. He was the biggest davener. By his davening, he was with tears, and they say about his davening, by the way, he was like a small person. He wasn't such a, big, physically, stature. But they say that by davening, he was completely in a different place. And anyone that was in his vicinity, he would just, without thinking, he would just automatically go to the person and just like pick him up and shake him and throw him across the room. He was like completely in a different zone. And everyone knew that when you're davening with Rabbi Yosef Zlotchev, you stay back. You give him his space. Everyone knew that. So they say, this is not the story, this is like a story within a story, but there's a nice they say about a lumberjack who was once visiting the town. He was a big, a burly guy, and he comes to daven mincha, like a regular Tuesday or something, daven mincha, and they tell him, Rabbi Yosef over there, you should stay back. He gets a little bit wild by davening. So the lumberjack's thinking to himself, like he's like 6'5", and Rabbi Yosef is 4 foot nothing, and like, I'm worried about him. Don't worry, I'm fine. Comes during davening, Rabbi Yosel is overtaken by something, he's pacing, his eyes are all back in his head, it's all white, and he just bumps into the lumberjack, and the lumberjack is solidifying himself, and Rabbi Yosel just takes him like mamish, like a feather, just like picks him up, shaking like a lulav, and just throws him across the room. And the woman, it was mamish, needs some place how he died. This is a big daven. So the mice is like this. The mice is like this. That Rabbi Yosel Zachaver one time got sick. He was sick. And it was days like this, the situation was getting worse and worse, to the point of where he fell into a coma. He fell into a coma. And for a few days he was he was unconscious. And it was davening, trying to, hopefully that salvation will happen. After a few days he came back. Baruch Hashem was mamish a miracle, he came back. So he asked him, Rabbi Yosel, you were in the higher world for a few days. What did you see? So Yosel said, I'll tell you the story. I was standing in front of the tribunal, Bezdin, the court up there with the angels and God and so on, because it was my time. I was mamish done. And they were going through my file, and they were trying to weigh my mitzvahs, my affairs, all these things. And he said, all of a sudden, I heard in the background a bunch of horses. And there was these horses carrying a bunch of wagons, with, horse-driven wagons. And they're coming, and I see from a distance, mamish piles, all the way to heaven, of shining letters. And I see Ashrei, I see Ovolotzian, I see Shemon Esrei, I see Shema, and I realize that's all my davening. All my davening for my entire life, they're bringing as my, to show, to my ticket to Gan Eden. And it's mamish, I'm so happy, I'm so excited. It's like mamish, it's shining like pearls and diamonds, like all the way to heaven. Unbelievable. And they come, all these wagon loads come, and all the malachim, they need help, all the malachim come, and just like schlepping all these huge, heavy, unbelievably powerful tefillas, putting on the scale. It's unbelievable. And Yosef says that I'm sitting there, for sure, I'm going to Gan Eden. It's unbelievable. Until the sudden comes. And the sudden shows up and says, this is what's going on over here. So they say, this is Rabbi Yosel Zachaver. So the sudden says, what's his deal? So he said, Rabbi Yosel Zachaver, he's a big davener, he's davening, he sees davening, it's mamish, unbelievable. So the son says, it's not a big deal. And he says he goes, mamish like the wolf and the three pigs, He goes there, and he just blows. And all of a sudden, that huge mountain of Everest of tefillas, mamish like straw, it just, mamish like straw, he blows easily, everything falls apart. And the son turns to me, said Rabbi Yosel, and he says, you see, it was all gaiva, it's all ego, all your davening, it was all about you, mamish nothing, it's paper thin, it was a house of cards. So Yosef is sitting there, he's like, oh my God, like that's it, that was it. Like I remember, I say this in the base measures, there's two famous boxers. Who was it?
Mayweather?
No.
Tyson.
No. The rope-a-dope. No, which one?
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali and Foreman. Foreman and Muhammad Ali. So there was a documentary I saw once that the rope-a-dope, right? So Muhammad Ali is just taking. And Foreman is like just spending all of his energy. So I saw that Foreman at an interview, like years later, he said that while he was like pummeling Ali, so Ali whispered to him in his ear, he said, is that all you got? And Foreman was thinking, he didn't say it, but Foreman said to himself, like, I was thinking, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, that was it, that was the other thing. So the son's like, that's all I got. Until the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov shows up. This is already a few years after Baal Shem Tov was very nifter. Baal Shem Tov shows up, and Baal Shem Tov is looking for something. Amongst all the broken letters and all the ashreis and shtabachs, it's all messed up. He's looking for something. Until the Baal Shem Tov, after a few minutes, says, oh, I found it. I was like, what did you find? He said, I found a hay. One letter hay that was rock solid. From all the tefillas of Rabbi Yosel Zachaver, his entire life, everything was not as pure as he thought it was. One hay. And Baal Shem Tov said, that's all you need. It's one hay. And he took that hay, and from there, the Baal Shem Tov rebuilt all of his tefillas. So that's nice. That's what Shabbos is. During the 6 days, the league piles and zachin, but the sun comes and it blows it away easily. Shabbos is that hay. Shabbos is that hay. You have a Shabbos, you realign yourself with yourself. You realign yourself with the Rabbeinu Shalom. That's solid hay. It could be for 10 minutes. It could be for an hour. It doesn't matter. You have a solid hay that's solid, it's pure, it's holy, it's rock solid. From there, everything else can be rebuilt. Shomer Shabbos, all your averos are forgiven. You just need that rock solid nakuda, that rock solid head. That's all it takes. My tefillah for myself and for all of us, that we should be zaycha to have that hay, to find that nakuda, to see ourselves in that Shabbostic way of thinking, to see each other in that solid way of thinking. And to find something practical, like I said, take something on yourself in Shabbos. Again, whether it be Shabbos socks, or having an extra, by the way, eat an extra bowl of cholent. Eat an extra bowl of cholent, l'shem Shabbos. L'shem Shabbos. And when you eat an extra bowl of cholent, you're saying to yourself, I'm eating this for the purposes of reminding myself about who I am, and what Shabbos is, and what a shtender really is. When you eat that extra bowl of cholent, that's called Shabbos. That's called that hay. And from that hay, that bowl of cholent, the Baal Shem Tov can come, the Rabbi can come, and rebuild your entire life. Mamish from just one little nakuda, a pair of socks, a bowl of cholent, saying good Shabbos. That's it. We say good Shabbos all the time. Take on yourself that when it comes to Shabbos, one time when you say good Shabbos to someone, you're going to say it like this. You're going to wish that person, they should know who they are, they should remember who they are. Hashem should help each and every one of us. We should be to connect to Shabbos, to connect to each other, to connect to ourselves, to connect to Rabbi Shalom. And if we do that, there's no question that everything in life will be rebuilt from that letter hay. We'll all come back from Yerushalayim, the B'yas Kol Tzedek,